Good afternoon and welcome to Shining Waters Yoga. Today's practice will be sort of a combination of yin and restorative. Some people get a little bit confused about the differences between the two. Restorative yoga, typically we use props, things like blocks and pillows and blankets to really support the body in opening gently and without effort, without us efforting. Yin, there's usually a little more efforting required. We still might use props to help hold the body open, but generally, sometimes we're in more active postures, and there's a little bit more efforting required. And generally, the postures are held for a shorter amount of time because we are efforting, and it's difficult to hold those postures for so long. So we're going to start with a little bit of warm up, and then we're going to have a restorative posture. The rest will be more yin, shorter poses, about 3 minutes or so, and then ending in another restorative posture, which is the last posture is going to be legs up the wall. So as you set up for this class, you'll want your mat, or if you're using a carpet, whatever you're doing your practice on. Obviously, you'll want some space. Maybe you set up by a wall, so you're ready for legs up the wall. I'm actually going to use the sofa for my last posture, legs on the sofa, which is a little bit more restorative in that the legs aren't straight, they're bent, and a little less pressure on the heart. So one of the contraindications, rather than doing legs straight up the wall, if you have heart disease or high blood pressure, acid reflux, anything like that where you don't want to be fully inverted. You might try the legs on a chair, even a metal folding chair, placing a blanket on it and placing the legs up, and then just see how you are with that. Obviously, if you get into any posture and your heart is beating quickly and maybe you're feeling flush, that's a sign to come out. So make sure you take care of you. And again, like I said, glaucoma is another one, so no legs up the wall for you. Do something a little more gentler, a little easier, and if that still doesn't feel right, then you're just going to come into Shavasana for the end. So the focus of this posture is going to be on the upper body for the most part. So if you're dealing with stress and tension in the shoulders, the chest, the upper back, this is going to be a good restorative class for you. Again, if you're dealing with shoulder injuries or you're recovering from surgery, this might be a little too intense for you. Probably will be too intense. So again, consult with your doctor before doing any kind of practice, and always listen to what your body is telling you. But aside from that, if you're carrying some stress and tension in the upper body, this might really be what you need. Props. So I'm going to recommend for today 2 blocks. If you have anything else similar to this size and shape, you're welcome to use that. I'm going to recommend a blanket, at least 1, maybe 2 if you're in a room that's a little chilly or drafty. In the end, you might want to cover with a blanket. And really that's it, unless you like a bolster for under your knees or rolled blanket for your knees, something like that. So get your props and we'll get started. I'm going to set up for the first posture, even though we're going to warm up a little bit. Just adjust my camera a little bit. You're going to have 1 block on the highest height and 1 block on the medium height to support your back. Some people like it this way, some people like it this way. And then if you want it to be a little less sharp, you can take a blanket, folded blanket about like that size, and just sort of drape it over top, fix it so that it feels firm. Now, before I lie back on that, from a seated position, and you could even be seated in a chair, we're just going to warm up the shoulders a little bit. So find your seat. Find your breath. Take a deep breath and shrug your shoulders up to your ears. And exhale, just releasing through the mouth a couple of times. So inhale, shrug those shoulders. Exhale, again, shrug the shoulders. And And exhale. Ha! And then slowly just start to take that shrug, that shoulder shrug, and turn it into a little circular motion, forward, up, back and down. Breathing, gently starting to warm up the shoulders. And notice any tightness, any soreness here. Maybe take the chin down to the chest and pause. And lift the chin up to the sky. Breathe in. And exhale, chin to the chest. Inhale, take the chin up. And exhale, chin to the chest. Coming back to center, start to take your right ear towards your right shoulder and your chin to your chest. Maybe walk that left hand out. I'm not mirroring you here. Stretching the side of the neck, breathe. As you exhale, if you want a little bit more deeper, you can place your right hand on your head. You've been playing with the ankle of that stretch a little bit. It feels right for you. Gently come back to center and take the opposite ear to the opposite shoulder. Left ear to left shoulder. Again, chin to the chest so that you lengthen through the back of your neck. Deep breath in and exhale. Option to put the left hand on your head. I'm not pulling my head. I'm just using the hand as a weight, as a guide. You could sort of change the angle or position of the head. Breathe in and exhale it out. Release. And then taking the fingertips to the shoulders, a little bit deeper shoulder warm-up, shoulder circles. Breathing in as the elbows go up and exhaling down. And reverse direction, go the other way. Relax the arms down. Interlace your fingers and press your palms out. Inhale up to the sky. And exhale, hands to the top of the head. Inhale to press up. Exhale down. Inhale, press up. Exhale down. One more time, press up. And exhale, release the arms. Circle the shoulders one more time. And we're going to prepare to lay in our little snug reclining chair. So you're going to sit your butt right in front and start to lean back onto that first block. Make sure that the second block is where your head is. So you might have to adjust once you get there. And the block under the spine is opening the chest here. If it's uncomfortable at all, you could use a bolster here to lie on, that version. And then we're really focusing more on the upper body opening. So the legs can be straight. If there's any pressure here on the lower back, you could certainly have a bolster under your knees or a rolled blanket. You could also, if you want to come into that hip opening version of a reclined Supta Baddha Konasana, you could take the soles of the feet together and you could place pillows under your knees. So that's another option. Drop your pillow here. You can take a minute to play with that and decide if you want the whole hip opening, chest opening posture, or if you want to stay more in a fish pose with the legs straight. And we'll be here for a little bit, so make sure that you're comfortable. This will be our more restorative pose. I'm just going to set my timer so I know how long we're in this pose. Take a deep breath.
And exhale, sigh it out. You can release it through the mouth. Start to feel the upper body just kind of drape over that block. Allow your shoulders to soften. The arms are resting comfortably on the floor, palms up or down if you feel like you want more grounding. Maybe they're even on your belly if that feels comfortable. But notice it might take some effort there to hold them up. So for me, the most comfy position is just letting the arms fall to the sides. Bring your awareness to your breath. Feel the breath all the way down into the belly, rising into the chest cavity. Exhale, softening the whole back body. Breathe. Exhale and soften your shoulders. Some time here to just notice how the breath nourishes the body. And with each exhale, there's a letting go, a release, not just of toxins from the body, but a release of tension. Feel how good it feels to just let go. And drop in. Find your mind starts to wander, you can just bring the mind back to the breath. And if it helps, you can count the breath. Trying to even out the length of the exhale to the length of the inhale. After a few minutes, check in with the body and just see if there's any place that needs something a little more. If you need to move or adjust. Notice if the body's beginning to soften. You notice any softening in the upper back. About a minute and a half left. Notice a sense of ease in the belly. This gentle back opening. And then to come out of the posture, we're just going to slowly start to bend the knees if they're not bent, or if they're out to the side, bring the knees together and start to roll over to your side. Be careful not to roll onto your shoulder if you're experiencing any shoulder pain. So we'll take the blanket away, won't need that for a second, and we're going to come onto our bellies. Have those blocks available for you. And we're going to come onto the belly, taking a pause here in Sphinx pose. So if this is acceptable for your lower back and there's no discomfort there, the elbows under the shoulders, just taking a minute. And you can actually wiggle the hips a little side to side, look forward, breathe, and exhale, and just pause here for a moment, preparing the back for a little bit more opening. If this is uncomfortable, you could also try coming down on the elbows and just holding the head into more of a crocodile pose. Breathe. Just not closing, but resting here for a moment. Maybe even stacking the hands and resting your forehead for a moment. Breathing into the belly, feel the belly press into the earth. And exhale it out. And then having the blocks available, because we're going to do one side at a time here. I'm actually going to move this one out of the way so you can see me. I'm going to start on the right side. So we're going to have the arms in like a cactus pose. And I'm actually going to turn my head and use this block as a pillow. And then pressing off or pressing into the floor with the left hand, start to roll onto your left side. I'm going to have to move my microphone thing here so I don't lay on it. And see if you can stack the hips. Feel that opening in the right shoulder and don't overdo it. So really be present and aware of the sensation that you're experiencing in the right shoulder and the front of the right chest. And I'm going to time this because this one's just going to be 3 minutes. If you need to come out of it at any time, you can, of course, as always. If you can go a little deeper, you could always step the left foot behind you and even start to take that knee up to the sky. That might be a bit much for some of you, so feel free to come back and just stack the legs. And if that's difficult, you could also bend the bottom knee, but keep your hips stacked here. And breathe. Bring your awareness to the right shoulder and the front of the right shoulder. Take several breaths to allow yourself to settle in. It's okay to play around in the posture and make little adjustments. Just notice how that affects what you're experiencing in that right shoulder. But always moving slowly and with intention. Experiencing what you feel. And then gently rolling back onto your belly. Come back to that Sphinx pose for a moment, or you could also rest your head on the block. Take a minute here. I'm going to start to adjust for the other side. So you can stay where you are. I'm going to switch around the other way just so you can see the side that we're on. So with your cactus arms, you're just going to now roll your left ear, your left side of your head onto that block. Start to take your right hand, pushing off on the floor, and roll onto the left hip. And if that's too much, you can also just leave the hips down and just kind of start to roll into that. So just sort of playing with that. Find where it's comfortable on your left shoulder and chest, the front of the shoulder. What feels appropriate for you and what's too much. And then I want to time it here so we're not here forever. Again, if you need to bend the knees a little bit or bend the bottom knee. Some of you might be able to go deeper and step the right foot behind you. I'm not going to do that today because it doesn't feel safe for me. So I carry a lot of tension in my shoulders. I've had shoulder tendonitis. In this practice, feels safe for me because I'm not. If you're recovering from an acute injury, this might be too much. But if you're just tense and tight, this might feel really good. Breathe into any discomfort. Allowing your body to soften on the exhale. And you'll notice this is a little more active than the first posture, so a little more yin-like here. Got about 30 seconds. And releasing back down onto your belly. Again, wiggle the hips a little side to side. You're going to want to keep that block handy for the next posture. But take a minute here and rest. Again, you can stack your hands and rest your forehead or rest it on the block. Wiggle the hips side to side. Allow your belly to release. And then preparing for the next posture, come back up to that Sphinx pose. We're going to take the left arm and thread it underneath your right arm. You might need to move the right hand forward some on the mat. You're going to take that left arm and thread it underneath and then cross the right hand in front of the left. Now this is going to kind of make your head sort of hanging out here. So if you can, take the block maybe on the lowest or the medium height, and you're going to rest your forehead there. I'm going to start the timer. And for some of you, it might even be on the highest height. Breathe and feel that stretch across the upper back. And exhale and soften. Breathe into the back body. Soften with every exhale. 29 more seconds. It's going to be a little intense. Gently start to slide that right arm out so you can come onto the forearm, come onto both forearms. Take a little break in the middle if you want before we go to the other side. So I'm not going to switch around for this one. I think you'll be able to see okay. We're just going to do the opposite. So taking both forearms to be parallel with the front of the mat. This time we'll take the right arm underneath, thread it underneath, and then the left arm in front. And again, let your forehead rest on that block. I'm just going to start the timer for us. Settle back in. Noticing if one side feels different than the other. Breathe into that space between the shoulder blades and the upper back. And exhale and soften. Relax your jaw. Breathe into it. You might find yourself starting to fall asleep. The block pressing into the third eye and the forehead can be really grounding and calming. Gently lift the head off the block. Start to bring the arms parallel and then bring them out. And we'll one more time rest here with the hands stacked, resting with foreheads on the back, forehead, singular, on the back of your hands. Move the lips side to side. If that's not comfortable, you can always feel free to take your head to either side. It's more comfortable for your neck. Couple deep belly breaths here. And then as you're ready, come back to Sphinx. Draw your belly up and in. Slowly start to come up to a table pose. Walk your knees in. And if you want, you could pad them with a blanket. You may not need to, especially if you're up on a rug. And you may want to keep, actually you're going to want both your blocks. So grab your blocks. We're going to set up for a version of child's pose, but it's going to be more of an upper back opening. So, kind of get my sleeves out of the way here. As you come into child's pose, you want your elbow to be at the edge of the block or the front of the block, closest to the top of the mat. So lining those elbows up with the edge coming to prayer hands, and then starting to sink your hips back. I'm going to scoot my knees forward a little bit more. Starting to sink back, and then the thumbs coming back to the occipital ridge. I need to maneuver around here a little bit, and I'm also going to start our timer. So 3 minutes here. Coming into that version of child's pose. Allowing your head to just kind of drop between the blocks. Let the hips sink back. And breathe. So if your hips are tight, you might be a little more lifted up, in which case your blocks are probably going to be a little more forward than mine are. The posture you could actually do standing with the blocks on a like a bureau or a dresser. Leaning over with the elbows on the blocks. Deep stretch here for the tricep muscles, backs of the upper arms. Breathe. Thumbs might come even to the top of your back. Notice any tension in your jaw here. As you exhale, sigh it out. And pressing down with the elbows to sort of lift you up. Come back to your hands. Gently rise. Shift your hips to one side. Bring the feet back out. Adjust my microphone here. We're going to set up for our legs up the wall to just now let that upper body rest. So if you're near a wall, certainly you could take that version. You may want a folded blanket, either for your head as a pillow, especially if when you're lying on your back, your chin tends to tilt up. If you have a deep curve in the neck, then placing that pillow behind the neck is going to elongate here.
so you're a little more comfortable. You could also use a folded blanket in front of the wall, or in my case, the sofa, and sit on that, and that's going to elevate my hips a little bit when I come back. So, sort of, again, if you're on a wall, you're going to take the leg straight up and then the other leg and sort of scoot around so that your butt is right against the wall. For me, I'm just going to take my legs on the sofa, and again, you could also use a chair. Let them rest on the cushion. So I'm right up against the sofa here. Shift the blanket a little bit underneath my hips so it's real comfortable. And that way the hips are a little bit higher than the heart. So we'll go ahead and take several minutes here. Let's take about 5 minutes here, and then we'll come into a final rest. So again, if you're here with the legs up and it doesn't feel comfortable for you, if you feel like the heart starts beating really quickly or the face is flushed, just come to your side, go ahead and lay on your back in Shavasana, and we're all going to meet there in just a few more minutes. Otherwise, this may feel really great, just allowing the upper back to rest, the arms to rest, the shoulders. Allowing your feet to be a little higher than the head. Another really nice way to stay grounded in this posture is to place a folded blanket over your belly. Just a little comforting weight. It's like a little hug. Like the earth is just hugging your body and holding it up for you. So we're back to restorative and not efforting at all in this posture, just allowing the sofa or the chair or the wall to hold your legs. Oh, I'm ready for a nap. Relax your shoulders, upper body, no more efforting. And your hands can be on your belly like mine are, or you can take them out to the sides if that's more comfortable. Make sure your neck is comfortable.
Take another deep breath into the belly. Exhale it out. And when you feel ready, if your legs are up the wall, you can just bring the feet to the wall, sort of push in and slide away until you can roll over onto your side, coming off that blanket. Pausing there for a moment. And as you feel ready, just gently walk yourself back up. Our last posture is just Shavasana. So using a blanket for your head, maybe a bolster or another rolled blanket for under your knees. I'm going to grab my bolster. And then you might also want a blanket to cover with. So take a minute to get completely cozy. You might want to put socks on your feet, cover up, get warm, and lie back on your mat or your rug. Let the legs rest, let your head rest, your arms. Again, hands on the belly or to your sides. And just come to deep, deep rest. Find your breath. Breathe deeply into your belly and exhale. Soften your shoulders. Soften your elbows, the palms of your hands. Soften your jaw. And allow the skin of your forehead to soften. Rest your lower back. Soften the backs of your knees, your ankles, and your feet. As you breathe, notice the effects of the practice, particularly around the shoulders and the upper chest. Notice all the points of contact between your back body and the floor. And breathing in, imagine expansion of the back body. As you exhale, allow all those points of contact to get heavier. Allow your breath to deepen. Breathing into your belly and softening. Feel the breath as it enters and leaves your nose. And breathe out to the edges of your fingertips and toes. As you exhale, begin to wiggle those fingers and toes, bringing movement back into your body, waking up here. As you feel ready, go ahead and reach those arms over your head or out to the side. Take a nice stretch. And as you exhale, you can start to draw the knees up, rolling over to your side. Take a minute to pause here. Until you're ready and fully grounded, ready to come up. And then just slowly coming back to seated. Take a minute to sit here, perhaps taking your index finger to your thumb and curling the other fingers in, relaxing your hands on your lap. Relax the shoulders. Take a moment to just notice how you feel. If you're feeling tired and sleepy and you don't have anywhere to go, maybe you just can take a nap from there. Bringing the hands together in front of the heart. Let's take a deep breath together. Lifting the heart into the hands and exhaling. We'll end the practice with the sound of Om. Take another breath together. Deep breath in. And exhale it out. Another deep breath. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Namaste. Peace. Be well.